And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on this Thursday, September 19th, 2024. And this outlook will be for Friday and Saturday as we head through the early weekend. Two main weather features we'll be watching in this time frame. Area of low pressure, lower Gulf will move northeastward up toward the northeastern Gulf with a frontal system that'll be impacting the Panhandle with some periods of moderate to heavy rain and some gusty winds. There is a trough of low pressure extending down through the Beaufort Sea into and along the Arctic coast to the Brooks Range. You could even say a bit of a cold front, but moisture along this will be in the form of snow, especially across the Brooks Range. There is a winter storm watch for Adigan and Anatuvik passes from Friday morning through Sunday afternoon. Several inches of snow could fall in the higher elevations there up around Anatuvik and Adigan passes here as we go through the early weekend. And then back further west, there'll be another low come up out of the North Pacific, at least brushing through the central eastern Aleutians later this weekend, late Saturday and into Sunday. So for Friday afternoon, areas of the Brooks Range along the spine there, central eastern Brooks Range, IFR, with snow becoming a little more widespread here, again around Adigan and Anatuvik Pass. We expect MVFR conditions Friday afternoon with periods of moderate to locally heavy rains at times and breezy conditions with that low sitting out here in the Gulf. And hints there of IFR conditions coming back up toward the central Aleutians Friday afternoon in association with the next low pressure system. Saturday morning, we expect IFR conditions along the Brooks Range, especially the spine of the Brooks Range, north slope up toward Kaktovik, where there will be areas of snow and lower ceilings and visibilities. A push of lingering area of rain, especially southern Panhandle Saturday. MVFR conditions there, the southern half. And generally MVFR conditions along and north of the Alaska Range through the middle upper Yukon Valley. Saturday afternoon, we still find some areas of IFR around Kaktovik down along the eastern third of the Brooks Range. And then generally VFR conditions there, lower Yukon Valley, west-southwest side of the state for the change. This area has had such stormy weather for the past month, a little bit of a break across much of the mainland, especially south central into west and southwest areas here as we go through the weekend. So Anatuvik Pass as well as Adigan Pass, it's along the spine of the Brooks Range, those higher elevations, IFR conditions prevail for Friday with snow developing. And some of that will be accumulating, especially as we go through the latter half of Friday into Saturday. Adigan Pass, same thing, IFR conditions with snow breaking out on Friday and continuing, especially Friday night into early Saturday will be the first push of accumulating snow up there in those higher elevations of the Brooks Range. Lake Clark, Merrill, generally VFR on Friday. Same thing, Rainy Pass starts out MVFR, becomes VFR, and then as we round across the central eastern Alaska Range, MVFR conditions will be the rule. Now, south of Windy Pass, VFR conditions as you go down toward Talkeetna, Cantwell, those areas. For Isabel Pass, generally MVFR conditions. Mentasta Pass, MVFR. And Tanita Pass there as we cross the Copper River Basin. MVFR conditions expected Friday. Portage Pass should hold on to VFR conditions for Friday. And then Chilkoot and White in the northern Panhandle, generally MVFR conditions expected throughout the day. And again, that precipitation overspreading and in areas of moderate to locally heavier rain in the lower elevations expected there across a good portion of the Panhandle Friday and even lingering into Saturday. Freezing levels at the surface down there across the Brooks Range, eastern Russia, all along the Alaska Range, parts of the Talkeetna Mountains, Wrangell, St. Elias. Freezing levels in through the northwest and central interior to the Alaska Range are at or below 2,000 feet. We get 4,000 foot freezing levels aloft along the northern Gulf Coast. You have to go way south of the Gulf and south of the Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula before you get freezing levels aloft 10 to 12,000 feet in the North Pacific. And there is a frontal system that is going to be pushing its way northeastward up toward the Panhandle here Friday with the area of low pressure sitting down here over the lower central Gulf. We expect some considerable moderate icing possible over areas of the Panhandle within those thicker rain-bearing clouds, some snow in the highest elevations there, those coastal mountains. And then up here along areas of the central north slope and pushing into the central Brooks Range. We expect an area of snow there, especially Friday afternoon, Friday night. And there certainly could be icing above 1,000 feet at the base of those clouds. They'll be pretty low hanging. So as I mentioned, IFR conditions expected there for Adigan and Anatuvik passes Friday and certainly into Saturday. And then there could be some moderate icing around the central Aleutians, lower central Bering Sea above 6,000 feet for Friday afternoon. Looking at the jet stream level, 30,000 feet. Broad trough, kind of just sitting here over areas of the mainland and still back toward the Bering. Here is the jet stream main core of winds. Only one little jet core, 110 knots there, just to the west of Haida Gwaii and the southern panhandle. Stronger jet core, upwards of 135 knots out there to the southwest of the Aleutians. We bring it down to 700 millibars or 5,000 feet. We see a circulation and a broad belt of 40, 50 knot winds there south of the Aleutians. And then coming back up with the low circulation here over the central Gulf, you can see some stronger winds at mid-level, 35 to 50 knots, pushing up toward the panhandle. And then as we look at 3,000 feet, a bit of a barrier jet sets up there with that area of low pressure and circulation. Some stronger winds along areas of the panhandle coast. And then we also find out to the west, we do have southeast to generally a southeasterly 35 to 40 knot winds near north of the central Aleutians as well as to the southwest of that location. Pretty quiet. Winds are not especially strong across the mainland. But with this kind of setup, the greatest threat for turbulence will be over areas of the panhandle on Friday. Can't even rule out maybe an isolated pocket there of some severe turbulence, but the surface to 6,000 feet as we would anticipate here, northeastern Gulf, panhandle, and then back out to the west with low pressure approaching from the southwest and another little weak circulation nearby. The central Aleutians could see some moderate turbulence from the surface to 3,000 feet.